What is the crack, everyone? I'm here with avid predator collector Trev Dunphy, and predators are an obsession of mine, but it's nowhere near to Trevor's. Trevor, thank you so much for meeting me and sharing your collection with me. I suppose first question is, how did you get started in collecting predators?
How did I get started? Well, when we were all younger, we all have our heroes on the pitch, and of course, as a United fan, I always seen David Beckham on the pitch, and I tried to emulate what he did at my grassroots level. But when him wearing Preds, I got to wear the Preds, you know. But I was sort of late to the Predator game, with Predator starting in 1994. It was the Precision for me. It was my first Predator. But little did I know, as soon as I got that first pair, I got bit by the bug.
And we were saying there off camera, how many pairs do you have at the moment? This isn't even all of them.
No, I have about 80 pairs between the latest Preds and the remakes. Yeah, about 80 pairs. I thought I actually had a few more, but yeah, I have 80 pairs at the moment.
And that's crazy. And anyone who isn't into football boots, to kind of see the history of the football boots here in front of us. We're starting off here at 98 with accelerators, and we're working our way up to the newest models, which are 30 years after the original Predators from 1994. And I suppose it's a statement for Adidas and the Predators how popular they still are and how sought after some of these boots are. Like, you're talking, some of these boots now are going for thousands of euros. And I know some people will see these videos, won't care, and will message you or myself and say, oh, I'll give you €50 for those pairs of Predators. For you personally, what makes them so valuable in terms of, I suppose, not only money-wise, but just to you? How valuable are some of these boots? And I know people wouldn't care about football boots at all, but just to you, what's the Predator football boot mean to you?
Well, for me, first of all, as you're saying about wearing boots, I can actually tell you certain things that happened while I wore the boots. And for me, it's about the memories. But I think when I first got a pair of them, I just felt elite. Now, it's probably a placebo effect, but for me, putting the boots on is one less concern. You're on the pitch, do the best you can with the boots on, but for me, they're your ammunition on the pitch. You know, it just makes you feel more confident. You get on with it. You know, okay, people see this guy, he's wearing Pred, he thinks he's great. I don't think that. It's just this one less thing to make me more focused on the game.
Yeah.
You know?
I suppose that old saying, feel good, look good, play good.
Yeah.
Or look good, feel good, play good. Sorry, as well, obviously as a part of it. You're saying your first boots were the Precisions. They came out in the year 2000. I suppose talk us through from then. What was it about the boots, obviously outside of David Beckham, only if you want to emulate the players you're watching? I'm a Liverpool player, but I always was drawn to David Beckham as well, or the Predators when he's wearing them. I know Gerrard was a big Predator man as well. When you got the boots in hand yourself, what was it about the Predators that you said, okay, these are the boots for me, I'm going to wear these now for the rest of my life?
Well, so this was the Precision. So when I first got them, I actually remember paying a lot of money for them back then. I was picking strawberries, and I saved a lot of money to get a pair in June 2000. I was actually remember down in Cork getting a pair of boots, and I just put them on. I was having a kick about, and straight away, I felt elite. But secondly, when I just curled it, now maybe it was in my head, it felt different. As this is a proper boot, and every time I wore it, straight away, washed them, polished them, and everything, and I just felt these on my feet, felt elite. And I mean, if the best players in the world, I'm not saying okay, Beckham, yes, but he had Zidane, you know, he had all these Raul, all these great players wearing them. So, I mean, if it's good for them, you know, it's good for me.
And before you got into the Predators, what boots would you have been wearing? Were you always an Adidas man? Did you chop and change Nike, Puma, anything like that?
My first pair of boots was a pair of Lotto, black with the blue design, and then I wore Diadora, Nike, because of Eric Cantona, saw Nike, and I think a pair of Adidas boots. But just when I got the Preds, I just knew they were just elite.
Yeah.
And now maybe the boots I bought before that probably weren't top tier.
Yeah.
But this is top tier, and once you get something good, there's no going back.
Yeah, exactly. And my first pair of boots were hand-me-down Predator touches from my brother, and my first own pair of boots that were mine myself were New Balance. They were yellow with a blue tick in them, which are common colours as well, which match where I'm from. But I remember having the Predator touches, and they were probably size kids 2 or 3, but they're having the red tongue. He was a United fan, so I obviously had to be a Liverpool fan. But like that, the red tongue, you did feel like, oh, I can do a lot more because of a certain pair of boots. From 4 or 5 years of age, you feel like this. I suppose coming out of that onto the next model of Predators, which probably are the most famous pairs of Predators, and probably the most sought after pair of Predators, are the Predator Manias from 2002. Would they rank as your favourite Predators, or are your favourite ones still the Precisions from 2000?
It's a good question. If bias aside, because I think if you ask any, say, people in the boot game, maybe their first pair of Preds, say, maybe their favourite. For me, it is. But when I got the pair of Manias on, I mean, in my sort of, the way I was in my football career, so I was probably under 18 with them, and I was getting a lot more joy, scoring a lot more goals with them. But I always just go back to the Precision. Okay, there's debates for years, which is the best Pred. And the Mania's up there. I get it. I get it. And it's probably the top of it. Like the Accelerator and the Mania are probably the top two. I'll always hold the candle for Precision. And for me, I think to stop the big debate, I'll always say they're the top three.
Yeah.
Accelerator, Precision, and Mania. I guess it's nostalgia, and it's probably because it's my first Pred. I'd always say it's my favourite.
Yeah.
The best Pred, I don't know. I don't know.
I've been lucky enough to have a pair of the OG, as people call them, the original ones, from 2002, and a couple of the remakes I haven't been as lucky to wear. For someone who has worn both pairs of both Precision, Accelerator, and Manias of the remakes compared to the original ones, would you say that the modern boot technology, because that's what it is technology with the sole plate and maybe a different bit of the uppers, a little bit changed compared to the original ones, do they stand the test of time, the ones from 2098, 2002? Are they just as good as the remakes from even as recently as last year? Are they just as good, or are the little bits of tuning with the new modern technology, do they make them that little bit better?
I think so. I actually wore a pair of OG Mania about 2 years ago, and they still fit well. Okay, they're a little bit heavier, of course. And I must say, the remake of the Mania was superb. I actually think, and me being a Precision man, I actually think the OG Mania remake in 2022 is the best Predator remake. I think I actually wasn't a fan of the soft ground sole plate coming out. I said, why are you doing that for? It was the first soft ground sole plate I wore in over 10 years. I've always worn firm ground boots, but I thought they were the best remake going. It's a little bit lighter, so it's half the battle. Obviously, 20 years ago, you weren't thinking of that. But now the fact that they're keeping up to date with all the latest boots, I think that I'm just pointing over there off camera.
Yeah, you're at the moment.
But that I think it's the best remake. It's got all the tooling of the OG, but the fact that it's lighter, I think they've done a great job of that remake.
I think one of the things people are looking for from a remake is, we don't have it on the Mania, we have it on the Precision here, is the white sole with the red moldies. I think that is probably the most aesthetically pleasing thing on both the Precision and on the Manias, that it can't be replicated. And we understand with the technology, those kind of blades have taken away. There was talks that was causing the ACL injuries. Is there a way you think that they should bring that back, the white sole plate altogether, even if it's a split tongue or a new tooling system on the bottom?
I think so.
Yeah.
And the Precision remake in 2019, the DB remake, it was a callback to the Precision with the white and the red, and the fair and ground blades had it. So it was a good callback.
Yeah.
But I think, as you said, it's great. It's part of the Predator history as well.
Yeah.
And the Mania FG and the Precision FG with that traction sole plate, they should bring it back. I mean, they're hitting all nostalgia levels with the Elite Pred this season.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. I suppose with these retro boots as well, as they are quite popular, people looking to get the original versions of them. You play a lot of games with the new boots at the moment. You have played a lot with the retro boots, and I have been lucky enough to play at retro boots. Unfortunately, when you're buying boots that are 20, 22, 24 years old, if they have been worn, they're not going to last. You are an avid person, says wear your boots. Are there certain boots that you wouldn't recommend people wearing? I've worn pairs of Predator Manias from 2002, the last maybe 3 or 4 games, because they are plastic, they're going to wear and tear. Is there a cut-off point for you when you say, I won't wear those boots? Like, I'm sure these platinum ones here in front of us are never going to be worn again. But do you think... just, I suppose it's not a warning to people who are getting retro boots, but if you are buying a pair of boots that are pre-worn from 2002, maybe it's one for the collection, would you say?
I think so. When you say cut-off point, because I've gotten all the Preds, I bought a pair of Preds each season that comes out. So I've always been sort of up to date.
Yeah.
So for me to buy a pair of Power Swerve now will be kind of pointless to wear, because I have them. But when you say cut-off point, it's probably 10 years to be safe.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not an expert in that, but as you said, if you wear a Mania and Precision from now, they only last a few games. I mean, I've worn them the odd time just for a game here and there, but if you see a lot of boot resellers, they have a disclaimer that these boots, they can't guarantee it. And like, these boots weren't made to last 20 years ago. Now, they may last longer than, say, the newer boots in 20 years' time, but when you say cut off, I'd say 10 years probably safe. I'm not saying there's older boots that could last. I mean, the Adi Powers, they're now what, 2011, so that's almost 14 years. I mean, if you got a fresh pair of Adi Powers, they could do the job. I'm not saying they can't. So cut off, safe, 10 years. But if you're buying something older for collection, it's for collection purposes. But if you want a good collection, I suggest try and buy closer to brand new as best you can. Now, if you just want an old pair of boots, that's fine. But I've learned down the years, if you want to buy an old pair, you're better off making sure the condition is very good for your collection.
100%. Like that, I've got ones pre-owned, like the Manias. They're actually my Adi Powers. I got them brand new in the box of tags, and they're still able to be worn now. And that's a 13, 14-year-old pair of boot. Now, the eye hole broke, but that's probably me pulling it too tight. No, it wasn't a sole plate issue or anything like that. So moving on then to the Predator Pulse. And as you say, you always hold a candle to Precision. I would be a fan of that. I think the Predator Pulse are one of the most underrated pairs of boots. I think because they came after the Mania, and the Mania is considered the GOAT, I think they get overlooked and they're directly compared to what people consider the best. But in a few years' time, nothing against some of the Preds up until maybe the Instinct and after, I think they are potentially top 3 on a day that I feel. I'd put them, as you said, I'd actually would have Precision, Mania, Pulse some days over Accelerator. I suppose.
And you're saying that as you've worn them?
Yes.
Yeah, and to be fair, I've never worn these OG.
Either have I.
Yeah, so for me saying that, it's probably nostalgia again coming in.
Yeah.
I've worn the remakes,
but
I've actually never worn, I've another pair of Accelerator with straps. I wore them once for review, just said they were worn. I got them just to try them out. But I haven't really worn them for a full season or a half season. So for me saying that, it's more the fact that Accelerator, because it's Accelerator. But you make a good point, because I've never worn the Accelerator. So for me wearing them, it's probably a good shout. If you're like, the Pulse here came after the Mania, and the Mania was just amazing. It was just amazing. I mean, and also when you think about it, the Precision in 2000 came out with 2 color. Well, the Platinum was only a limited edition, and there was 333 pairs per country. So I don't know if you notice, it says USA 285. So that pair was USA 285. So there was a very limited edition. I didn't even know about it in 2000. Didn't even know about it. So the Precision then had this ones here, and then the silver ones. That was it. Then the following year they re-released it as a different configuration, the sole plate. So they released these again, and the sole plate is slightly different, and the Adidas logo was here, not the equipment. And then they had a white pair and a blue pair. But then when the Mania came out, they had this champagne straight away, class, and then they had a red pair. So already the Mania was out. They were on Feet of Pros in March 2002. So then we think we could only get them in the shop, say May. So then by September, they had 3 colorways already. And then the Lunar came out in January. So already then, wow, like the Precision didn't have that many, it's 4th generation. Then the Gunmetal came out. And it's just, I mean, it was just, everyone wanted them then, different colors and everything else. Then the Pulse came along, and you make a good point. The fact that the Mania is up there. So how can the Pulse compete? It can't. And I felt myself, I wasn't a fan of the Pulse. I wasn't. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's because of the Mania. I had 3 pairs of Mania. Champagne, the red, and the Gunmetal between the 2 years. And I ran them into the ground so much. They were that bad. You could see the screw. I just threw them on the bit. I couldn't wait for the Pulse to come out. It just wasn't. I probably fell into that category of it's not the Mania. It's a valid point, you know. And as you said, if you just took it as a boot, mate, and I've spoken to a lot of people on Instagram, and they hold the Pulse in high regard, and I'm kind of going, really? But again, I'm probably looking at comparing to the Mania. I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
Because the Mania was just
It was so
top
good.
notch. Yeah.
They were the first. When I was younger, it was real and fake boots. Even though they're not fake, it was the real and fake. That's what our circle would have called them, like the takedown models. We called them, we called the takedown models fake.
Was it?
Yeah, Pulsada or that, or the Manic was
Manic was made. Yeah.
So I had the Manics in the Manias, which I got the real ones later on. I would have called them the real ones and fake, but that's just what we would have called them.
Yeah, there were different tiers.
Yeah. And remember when these came out first, the takedown versions might have a different colour tongue, so it might have a black tongue on the Manias.
But the elements weren't on it, I think.
Yeah, or they might have the elements with a red tongue and stuff. So these were the first real ones I got, where I remember, especially in these ones, it went the whole way around. The Adidas
that's right.
signs, the same with the Manias here. It wraps around and comes under. Whereas on the, as we call the takedown version, it didn't come the whole way around. So I got them from Pro Direct for my 10th birthday. I remember, and I remember my old lad was saying you could get 2 pairs of Manias for €100, or you could get 1 pair of the Predator Pulse for 100. He's like, "Oh, do you not get the 2 pairs for 100?" I was like, "No, I need to get the new ones." Because I remember it was like on the Match magazine or Shoot magazine, there'd be the little ad. It might only be like this size of an ad. I remember looking at these boots and like, "Oh yeah, get these ones." And you get the catalogue then.
You didn't go for the same Mania?
No, I was because I had the. I thought
I had them already.
I had the takedown. I was like, "No, I need the newest ones, the brand new ones." And it was 2004. I would have been 10, and Euro 2004 would have been just around the corner.
That's right.
And that would have been like when I first would have fully understood competitions, all the players. Like 2002 World Cup, I knew about the Manias, I knew the Ireland players, I knew like the Liverpool players and Premier League players, but I wouldn't have known like the full layout of the tournament. I wouldn't know who was on after. I would have been 8. Yeah, you get the telly wheeled in when you're supposed to be doing your communion and that. Whereas 2004, I would have been playing the FIFA games. I would have known a lot of the players outside of Europe, outside of Liverpool. I would know all the players in Europe, what boots they're wearing. I remember the ad of the Portugal and Brazil, what was before Jago Bonita, when it's the Ole, they kept megging each other.
Yeah,
with the total 90s and vapors. It really just kind of build up around it. So I was like, I need the Predator Pulses. So I probably have the fondness you have for the Manias. I probably have for the Pulse. Now I still regard Mania as my number one.
Okay.
But I had the fun, and I like you say you wore the Pulse or the Manias to the ground. I had these in the firm ground. These ones as well.
That colorway
in red, black and red. The original ones. They were worn. I remember I've been at a summer camp, and someone asked me, was I wearing them on the road? They were that worn down the studs that I wore them so much I wore them completely to the ground. But I think they're a criminally underrated boot, and there was a remix recently with the EA Sports and the Champions League ones, and there wasn't really as much hype around them. They were easy enough got.
Yeah.
Is that, again, would you say that comes down to was it published or was it advertised correctly? Was it a case that there's so many remakes of Manias and accelerators that they kind of the want wasn't there for them, or do you feel like there was kind of Adidas gave us one to kind of see what the reaction is in hopes that maybe we'll do another remake of another model, or do you think if people just don't like them?
That year was 2021, and they had released already the Eternal Class accelerator, the all black pair, and then they released the Hyperlative accelerator in March. So there was another accelerator. A lot of people saying, "Oh, another accelerator." So there's 2 different accelerators. Now I liked it, the fact that it's different colorways, but I can understand how the market can get saturated too many. So when the Pulse came out, that would have been probably September of that year, and I remember getting 2 pairs, the usual one to wear and one to collect.
Yeah,
but it was so easy to get. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I was very, very surprised. Then the EA Sports pair was probably, I think it was November, December that year. It was probably a little bit harder to get, I think, but very surprised that there wasn't a huge demand for it.
Yeah.
Now, I remember in 2019 when they had the Precision and the white Precision and the gold accelerator.
Yeah.
You're able to buy 5. Well, you're allowed to pay 5 pairs. See, when they released, sorry, now I'm backtracking. In 2018, they had the accelerator in black and the accelerator in electricity. You only allowed 2 pairs, or you only allowed buy 1 pair. That was it. In 2019, you're allowed 5 pairs per customer. So I think Adidas thought they'd get loads of sales on the white Precision and the gold accelerator, but there's still loads available.
Yeah.
So maybe they probably did too much of the nostalgia, and maybe that's where the Pulse got lost.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just very surprised that there wasn't a huge demand for the Pulse.
Yeah. I suppose the next ones after that then was the Predator Absolutes, which came out in 2006. There was 2 remixes of those in around, and like that there was the gold ones, the white ones, you've mentioned them already, and like that there wasn't really massive hype around them either. Was that kind of the same thing, kind of got lost in the mix of that?
I didn't even know about the Absolute. They dropped, it was just after Christmas. I think they dropped the 20th. I'm very weird at dates and months. I just remember them. But it was around Christmas when it dropped, and I was straight on. I bought the pair. It was actually dropped on a Saturday, which is very rare. So I bought the pair. I was happy out. I wanted to get another pair, and they were gone. But there was usually there's a few leaks of some Predator remake, but it didn't come out at all. Couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Then when the gold dropped, that would have been around World Cup 2020 in Qatar, so it would have been November. Again, I thought they were a little bit easier to get. No, they're still hard, but they're easier to get. Yes, I think as the remakes go on, maybe the Accelerator and the Mania will bring in the most if it's the original colorway. But when they do a different colorway,
that's true as well.
It's not part of the original catalog.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the Absolute was the white pair that Beckham wore in 06, 07 when he was at Real Madrid.
Yeah.
So that was close to that. But the gold pairs that Zidane had, I'm surprised at it. I'm surprised they were still hard to get, but not as much as say the OG Accelerator in 2018 and the Electricity, like they were gone. 1,000. Apparently, there's 1,998 pairs. They were gone. I'm just surprised that there was still a bit, as you said, with the Pulse. I was very surprised they were still very easy to get.
Yeah, especially the gold Absolute ones that were that Zidane wore in the World Cup finals. He wore in the whole tournament.
Yeah,
that was our same colorway as the original, whereas the EA Sports pack and the Champions League pack of the Pulse,
they were different.
They were different colour, and I suppose with the newer Preds to have different coloured tongues. I think it was from even though they did have them in older models, they weren't always solely a red tongue. But I think
started off in the Pulse. Oh, sorry, if you go back, it was always there was no tongue in '94.
Yeah,
then it was always red tongue, and the Pulse
with the first
the white Pulse with blue tongue. Was the first one that had a different colour.
And then the Beckham Dragon ones,
exactly.
That's right. They were all silver.
Yeah.
And there was also, wasn't there a navy pair with a blue tongue as well? I remember Lampard used to wear them a lot. It was like a navy
the following generation. Yeah.
So they were kind of the first. I suppose it wasn't always a red tongue on the Pulse, so it didn't directly match it as well. But like that, it didn't really just.
So the Pulse of the OG and the silver pair during the Euros and the Indigo.
Yeah.
Then they had the red pair, red tongue, red and black. Gerrard wore them.
Yeah, against Olympiacos.
And then that's right.
The goal.
I remember it as a Predator fan. Not as
a
United fan. But then I think Beckham released not Beckham, but they released Beckham's white thumbprint. It might have been the end of that year, and that was the first one with a different colour tongue. And they all followed suit. Yeah. As you said, Lampard was blue boots, blue tongue, and it all followed suit. Yeah. Different colour tongues. Yeah. And then the Absolute, of course, they dropped the OG and a white gold.
That's right.
Straight away, so already then they were exploring all different colours.
And the colour you have here, that wasn't soon after then either, wasn't it? Not, it was maybe like the third colour released.
I think it might have been September after the World Cup. It's just, that's my favourite colourway.
Yeah.
Well, it's a red tongue and a white boot.
Yes.
It's my favourite colourway. And I don't know if you notice some of the boots I do keep, it's all
white.
Yeah. Now, as I get older, not so much.
Yeah, I suppose just to kind of talk back to obviously a lot of GA people watching this one, that one will stand out to people for Kieran McDonald kicking the sideline against Dublin, one of which I'm happy about Mayo's losses. They won that game, but they didn't win the All Ireland that year. I suppose Predators have also been synonymous with GA as well. More so it was the Mania when it really kicked off. You would have seen a couple of people wearing the Precisions at the time, but it always would have been Hugh McKing's Cop Mondials, World Cups. I remember Jason Sherlock would have been wearing them for the Dubs in around 2000, 2001 when they had the game against Kerry down in Thurles or Sample Stadium. Morris Spitz sitting that sideline that day. But remember, I think he was the only player on the pitch wearing Predators. And even if you look back at Galway's run in 1998, Pork Joyce wore the Accelerators in the semi-final but didn't wear them in the final. So obviously there would have probably been sponsorships with shops and stuff. They wear Cotton Mondials, they wear Puma Kings. 2002, again, was probably the first year you see majority of players are wearing this boot. Because you look back on team photos, Armagh, Dublin in semi-final, most players wearing the Predators. Kerry teams, most people are wearing the Predators. And that kind of led on, you would have seen the kind of classier players, more skillful players would have been wearing the Predator boots at the time. And more so the black versions, because you'd get killed wearing white boots in the time.
Yeah.
So again, it has always been a big one, especially with the Manias jumping back, just to tie it back into GAA. Colin Corkery from Cork he had a deal with Adidas that he wore a different pair every game, and every game was auctioned off for charity afterwards. He had the white ones, he had the red ones, he had the gunmetal ones, he had a little shamrock on the inside of them, and I think he had CC14 on his tongue. So again, going back to 2002 when
correct me if I'm wrong, he had the Predator elements on the tongue as well, I believe.
He did. Yeah, he liked the rugby players.
Yeah, that was class.
I remember the first time I seen that in the boot was we went on a school tour years ago to meet the Irish rugby team before they went to the World Cup in 2003. And I remember we met the players on the pitch. I can't even remember who it was, but I remember Dave Humphreys and Ron O'Gara. First thing I was looking down the boots, looking at the parades, and I seen they had the thing, and me being a boot head, I didn't have that in my boots. And I was like, what's wrong on my boots? Why don't I have the exact same one as their ones?
Are mine fake or are mine too cheap? Yeah.
Obviously, years later, you realise that that was the customization and the difference between a professional player and the one you get in the shops.
Yeah.
Next boot after the Absolute, and we quickly went over them, is probably one of the most people asking for a remake. And do you think we'll ever get a Power Swerve remake?
It's definitely overdue. I notice different things. I'll go back, say, in 2017, the Blue Precision dropped. And that was released in 2001, so there's a 16-year gap. So I'm just wondering, is it a 16 or 17-year gap? I don't think people at Adidas are that direct, but I just think of numbers. So the Power Swerve dropped in 2007. We're 2024 now. 17 years is a time. A lot of probably boot heads, probably your age, maybe a little younger, would love the Power Swerve. That's probably their precision. Precision for me is probably Power Swerve for them. And I'm very surprised they haven't got a remake yet. I mean, it was the last one without the tongue, or with the tongue, and the tongue's back now. I mean, I think it's time.
It's definitely, and it's one of those sought after boots in GAA circles as well. Probably more so because of people of us, probably around my age. I'm 30 now. Would have grown up. I had a pair of those when I would have been about 15, 16, and probably was later getting that. So people would have got them maybe 14, 15. They were a really, really popular boot, and like that, it wasn't as much of a tongue boot. I suppose from Absolute back to Precision, it was all about the tongue. But I think these ones, it was more the elements of the actual Predator what was important, or what people cared about more. I think it was in the Absolute as well. They brought in the tungsten bit underneath here.
You had the option to take it out.
Yeah. I didn't like it. I had the Beckham blue ones, the all blue Beckham ones.
I had them too.
I got them in America. I got them for dirt cheap. I remember checking them out. But they had this. It was the idea behind it was tungsten here to make your shot harder. And had them on the Power Swerve then as well.
Was that was built into the Pulse though? I think
it was built in. It wasn't like a thing that
an option to take it out.
So that was kind of a thing about it, and people thought that they're going to get bigger shots because they sing in.
And we all believe it.
100%. But I think is it more so in Ireland? Are you hearing it? I know you're more in the boot scene. You have a lot of friends in the UK and in soccer scene as well. We're kind of in the same country, but more so in different sports. Do you hear it more in soccer as well that the Power Swerves are they crying out for a remake, or is it more so just a Predator?
I've noticed a lot of calling Power Swerve, and of course we go back. Say I'll always call out for an OG Precision or something like that, and maybe anyone like I think the Accelerator is done, but everyone will continue to do the Accelerator because it's the Accelerator. And there's rumors of a Mania coming out again. Now every Mania Accelerator they've released, they've hit it on the head. So, but no, I haven't heard any other new models. But Power Swerve has been mentioned a lot. Has been mentioned a lot. I mean, I'm surprised they haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I think it's probably one that people want to see. Not that, look, you're not going to get sick of remakes of Manias and Precisions and Accelerators, but at what stage is enough without completely just releasing them for everyone? I suppose with that, with remakes and limited edition stuff, from a collector standpoint, obviously the limited edition makes them more. It's better when you get them. But I know with the new Predators now, they kind of have listened to what they're asking for the fold over tongue, for the elements that look like Manias. What for you is the reason behind limited edition remakes, and why not just release them for everyone so everyone can get a pair of them at a cheaper price as opposed to €350 and only been 1,000 pairs available?
Well, for me, limited edition, I think they're doing it wrong. When I say do it wrong, they did it very right with the Mania. The Mania remake, they numbered each tongue. You open up, it's a number, and they said there's 2,002 pairs because it was originally out in 2002. That's what it should be. They released just skipping up. They released this to 1,994 pairs. They should have numbered the boot. They didn't. They numbered the box. But numbering the boot, numbering the box also stops all the fakes. And it properly gives you the proper idea is it's limited edition boot. I know remakes are limited edition; they're hard to get. But I think if you're doing a limited edition, you should number it properly. I know, okay, it costs more, but people are willing to pay that little bit extra for a limited edition. Why not number the box and number the tongue or the boot? That's what they should do. I know some people who haven't got limited edition, they want to wear them, and the question will be, why didn't Adidas just release, say, a Mania to everyone? Why not? I don't know either. But if they're going to release limited edition, they should number them. I think they should number them. I think they're doing it wrong. That's my opinion. But everyone's got their own opinion.
And we were talking about this before we started recording about the reps or the fakes of them. I suppose, look, price of boots are extortionate to a certain extent.
Yeah.
€300, €250, and if you want the pairs of a remake mania, if you're spending €150 from a page on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook and replica version, it's not a replica. It's not made the same way. And look, I've said to you, I've done videos showing how to get them for €30 or €40. And I think we both have agreed we've no problem people getting them for themselves to get, like, if I can't afford it, can't justify paying it, just want one for themselves.
I totally understand.
No one has any problem with that. But what we both have a problem with is when people are scamming people out of maybe €120 plus, or I've seen them €150. They're paying €30 for them, marking up 150 probably plus postage on that.
Yeah.
And I've got pairs, I've worn them, I've got ones for messing around in. I get maybe five wears out of them, and the arse comes out of them. And I was saying to you beforehand, I was playing a game in a pair, which you shouldn't have been doing. I went to take a sidestep, the sole plate literally fell off. I had to go in and, like, the hassle of having to go in and change boots during the game. I could have rolled an ankle, could have done serious damage to it. And with that as well, if people don't know, they don't know. But like, you see Buspin boot heads, you see like the Japan remake, but you see people doing full white versions of it or black and red versions of it, and then saying, "Oh, this is the new remake," and you're like, "It's not. That was never released." But then someone who wouldn't be as up to date in boots remembers, "Oh, I remember them in 2002. I'm going to get them. So they're only €150. That's nothing."
Yeah.
Whereas they could go straight on to a Chinese website, get them for €30. I think making it aware that you can get them. If you're going to get them the cheapest way possible. I don't like that people scamming out of that. I suppose I'm delighted you're on the same page as me on that one, because I have had conversations with people giving out about the whole replica scene at all. I suppose on that, what's your thoughts on the replica scene?
Well, what I dislike about it is if people are selling a fake boot, call them fake. Don't, like, Adidas don't make them. I know the stripes are on it, but Adidas don't make the fake boots. They call them reps or replicas. They're not. Like, if you go into lifestyle sports and you buy the latest Premier League jersey, it is a proper branded jersey, and they're called replicas. But when you go online, you buy a replica boot, it should be a replica, but it's not. They're calling it replica and reps, but they're actually fakes, and they think that's their disclaimer. I've said they're reps, but they're not. They're fake. And as you said, when you wore them, you could have done your ankle in. Like, it's not safe to wear them. And I understand these boots are extremely expensive. And if people want to keep for a collection, listen, if you want to do whatever you want to do with your money, but it's very dangerous. You're wearing these boots, you could actually do harm to yourself.
I suppose we might come back to that one, because we'll look at some of your remixes you have here as well.
Jumping on and contrast.
Exactly. So as we said, Power Swerve was the last Predator that had the tongue. We don't have the Predator X, which would have been the
well, I do. I just didn't bring it with me.
I think it's one of those Predators that people just kind of tend to forget about more. So the Adi Powers would have came after that. So what Predator did wrong with Predator X, I think they kind of corrected with the Adi Power. Even though the Predator didn't have the tongue, it kind of still was a well-regarded boot. And I have these and they're fairly worn. I do like them. I had the Power Swerve, and the difference between the Power Swerve and the Adi Power I found was they kind of had more speed in mind with this as opposed to power. Now, I know, look, at boots aren't going to make it faster, they're not going to keep the ball different, but the type of players that I suppose they had playing in them, like I remember GAA terms, like in Bernard Brogan, Alan Brogan, the first people I think of when I would see these. In terms of soccer, as a Liverpool fan, I still think RVP, Van Persie, wearing the slime colour. I think his modification was nearly off a pair of F50s.
He actually wore the slime pair in the 2012-2013 season, and that's when the LZ was out. So he actually, well, I don't know what his contract was, but he wasn't wearing the latest Predator, which is very rare of a pro wearing an old, maybe not now, but back then. So he wore the Power, or the Adi Powers from 2011 in the 12-13 season. So that was actually between LZ1 and LZ2. And he wore them, and she got top scorer in the Premier League that season.
So I suppose strikers there or forwards would be suspicious in the sense that if something's working, they don't want to change it for a boost.
Of course not.
Well, did you have a pair of these? What did these mean to you if you're looking at the Adi Powers?
Well, I'll go back to the X for a second. So I got the X in the black colorway, and I got in soft ground. So the soft ground didn't come like a blade. It was like a 6-stud configuration.
They're soft ground.
Okay, no, but the X was.
Oh, sorry, the X are,
So what I didn't like about the X was that because I had an issue with my sole wearing them, so I actually turned to firm ground, and I stopped wearing soft ground till the Mania remake came out. I just did not like the soft ground sole plate at all. So I got the black pair, then I got the Beckham white red pair, which I didn't bring with me today, and I thought the sole plate was good, but I just didn't feel like it was a proper Predator. And if you look at the pairs the pros are wearing, if you even look at, say, the retail pair that I would have got, the David Beckham white red pair, and you look at the pair he wore, the sole plate alone was different. He had the power serve sole plate on the X. The stripes are totally different. It was almost a totally different boot. Now listen, we all know the pros get a different type of tread. But I'd like to think going way back to 98 and 2000, they were closer to what. But as the time goes on, I still think they will get a much more personalized boot. But looking at the X, it's like almost nearly totally different. But definitely wasn't a fan of that. Then the Adi pair come out, and I got them in the black, blue, and a bit of yellow. I think I actually got them a friend's mate in the end. Then I got the gold pair in red, so I wore them. And they were nice, comfortable boot.
As well, after that, then there was the Lethal Zone ones, which had become a little bit more popular, and the Lethal Zone 2. I think the kind of hype, from my experience of it anyway, the hype around boots, I'm not sure if it was just an age thing with me, I kind of maybe fell out of just the hype around boots, but I felt like there wasn't, because they were supposed to releasing every year, whereas...
That's exactly right. And that's one thing I didn't like, because if you go back to, say, the Accelerated Precision...
98, 2000, 2002.
Correct. But they made you believe that they had this new technology. And look, listen, it's a gimmick. But now it's like, boot every year. And you're kind of thinking, well, hang on. Like, what more difference? And then, as you said, you lose a bit of the buzz out of it. You know, now I got the LZ one. I got one pair, the usual white. Now, it wasn't red, it was orange. Got that white orange color. Didn't really like it. I actually wore Precision that season. That I wore. I just felt like it had the potential to be a Predator. I just felt, now listen, I'm not saying go by me, just my opinion. I'm sure there's loads of boot heads going, what is he on about? But I just felt it was the foundation of a Predator, maybe. I just didn't feel like it right. So I actually chopped and changed between the Adi Precision and the LZ, and I got an awful bad tackle in them near the end of the season. I'll never forget it. And I binned them.
Done with them.
Just binned them. No, I'm not saying that's why I got the tackle.
It
just wasn't a fan of the LZ. Then the LZ2 come out. I got them in green. Don't ask me why. And I got them in white, black, and red. I actually have a pair of whites at home. And again, just the elements just seemed like they just put them on for the sake. I don't know. I just wasn't a fan of the LZs at all.
It seemed to be the same boot, just different elements put on the it looked to be exact. I suppose, like with that, you're talking Accelerate 98, 2000, 2002, 2004. It was always with a big tournament. So, and you had them for the 2 years. And same with jerseys at the time. Most teams had a home jersey for 2 years in terms of soccer. And GA could be 5 or 6 years, the same jersey. So when you got something, you knew you were going to get a time where, if you're, again, a child, not even if you're a child, you want to think you have the most up-to-date boot. And
of course.
Just say your birthday is in summertime or that, and you book comes out in January, you feel like, I don't have the newest ones. I know some people don't give a shite, but
as you said, though, you're buying something and it's expensive. The last 2 years, you get, and they would be good enough the last 2 years. But back then, anyway. So you're kind of going, and then all of a sudden it's every year. You know, and the price of them.
The price seems to be going up, and they aren't lasting the years as well. Because I remember, like, I've had them. We'll come on to these ones in a couple of minutes. But I remember, like, I had them 2 years, and I wear them for the winter months. But like, you can see that looks like I've been wearing it every single game. Whereas, some of the older boots, you'd see that they do last years. And I've noticed with team, I'm not a fan. Not that I'm not a fan of World Cups and Cup Mondials. They are a staple of. But I just wouldn't wear them myself. But I remember years ago when I kind of first started playing adult football, I would have been 16, 17. People would have got 2 full seasons out of them, or Puma Kings. And I find that now people who do still wear them, they're getting 2 pairs a season, or maybe it's one every single year as well. So I think the boots are being built now to only last a season to entice you to buy the new ones every year, which is, I suppose, as a consumer, it's frustrating when you buy, like, the price of new Predators now $280, and you want them to last,
of course,
2-3 seasons if possible. But obviously, look, time will tell. I know you're going through them. I'm wearing mine now as well. Are they going to last a full year for the price you're paying? If they don't, is that going to leave fuck that, I'm going to get something else. I'm going to get a takedown version. And again, you can see why people are buying the replicas, because even with even when we're talking about the replica or the fake, let's call them fakes because they're not replicas. They're with modern boots as well. It's not just remakes. It is with the modern boots as well. And I've seen.
Sorry, when you said replicas, I thought I misunderstood you there. No, because of the price.
So people might want the new Predators. They want to spend €280. They're going to get the fake ones for, even if it is €100 of the newest version of the Predators, and like that. it's just going to leave a sour taste in your
Yeah.
mouth then, because you're going to be pissed off. You won't get the proper ones are too expensive. The ones you get for €100 break after 3 or 4 goals.
Yeah.
You're just going like, oh, fuck this, what's the point? And it's going to go into Sports Direct and get a pair of sandals.
And
and look, each to their own. Again,
Yeah, of course.
we're boot snobs here, so like,
yeah,
it's
you're
gonna,
right. Yeah, I'm definitely a Predator snob.
Yeah.
No, you're spot on. I mean, what I'm looking at there now, they release so many different colorways, and not just in Preds, just any boots.
Yeah.
And like say, kids going in, they get their, I don't know, they come in the summer, they buy their boots for say August to December,
Yeah.
and come Christmas get another pair because they don't last.
Yeah.
It's not what it used to be.
Yeah, exactly. Like when we were talking about the manias and like for 5 colorways, and you knew like some player you liked had the same color as you. Whereas now, if you're a child, you get a pair at Christmas. Come summertime, when you're going to wear them, your favorite players are onto either a new style of boot or a new colorway.
Like Jude Bellingham, I think wore almost every colorway.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, in fairness to me, and he pulled back to the original ones before the Champions League final.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. I think he wore the. Did he wear the blue ones for Champions League?
He wore them in the final, but in the train week leading up to it, he went back to them. And again, just kind of they're the first ones. Jumping on to the Predator Instinct, which would have been the last Predator before they kind of dropped the name. And you said they were the last ones you got until the 18, and you didn't like the 18.
Yeah.
The Instinct, and at the same time, there was a first remix. They had a pair of Manias, a pair of accelerators, and there was also kind of like a hybrid original one. It was an odd...
The Pred 94.
Yeah, it was an odd remake of it. What did you make of the boot itself? I had the remix. I didn't have the Instinct.
For me, I think this is the most underrated Pred. For me. Now, maybe... I enjoyed a lot of seasons wearing them. I got a lot of colorways, and when I heard the Predator was stopping, I stockpiled. I think I got 6 or 7 pairs.
All right.
So I would have wore the Instinct between 2014 and 2017. Yeah. So I enjoyed my football there as well.
Yeah.
And when the remakes came out, I wasn't sold. I said, I'm not going to buy them.
Yeah.
And looking back, I probably should have. I had so many pairs of Instincts, and I didn't. But I actually think it is an underrated Pred for me. Now, it's just I think it's more maybe because I was enjoying football more at that point. I don't know. And there was loads of colorways, but I was happy to wear them for the 3 years. When the Ace came out, I wasn't a fan.
No,
I wasn't a fan. But seeing the remakes, I sort of would have liked to try them out. Like the sole plate is the same, but because I had so many pairs of Instincts, I didn't bother. I came to the remake game in 2017, so I was a little late.
I got them as a present in 2016, and I got 3 full years out of them, and I got every bit of the 3 years. I got them done up in the inset. The shape has gone out of them. They're uncomfortable.
But that's what's about. That's what's about.
Yeah.
And I know. Listen, I communicate with collectors, and I'm all about collecting as well.
Yeah.
But I love wearing them.
Yeah.
I love wearing them. Obviously, when a remake comes out, I'd love to get 2 pairs, wear one, and keep the other. I don't judge people who collect.
Yeah.
Like, I love the collections on Instagram and everything else. But if I have an opportunity, I love wearing them.
Yeah, I think that's goes back to, I remember these when I was 8 and getting a pair when I was an adult. I was like, I have to, you feel better wearing them. And with this as well, with the tongue, I meant to ask you earlier on, I'm going to ask you now on camera, you like to wrap the laces around when you're putting the tongue down. Did you take the first eye hole out?
Yeah.
Yeah. I seen someone do this before and I tried it myself. I keep the top ones there, and I put the tongue underneath it. So it's the same thing as if bringing the eye holes out. But then when I tie it there, I still feel like I have the support up the top of my foot.
Yeah.
But then, because I'm the person where I have to have the tongue down on as far as possible.
Yeah.
And I found when I did that, I just didn't have the support up there.
And did you find it uncomfortable, or
I thought I would, but no, I didn't. No, I'm not doing it with the new ones because the tongue on the Predator.
Yes. So on that one there, I skipped the one.
You skipped that. I keep mine on top.
It's just, it allows that tongue to go further down.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't. And now a few people have come on to me going, what are you doing wearing that tongue so low? Because it's so dangerous. But I've never had any issues. Now, maybe if I get a bad tackle, I don't. But I've never had any issues with that. So for me, I would have took them out
Yeah.
But you're using that as more protection, is it?
Just for because I had them a size up as well, so it was
Okay.
just that for the snug. I used to wear 2 pairs of socks because I suppose I would have been young. You get bought a pair of boots for Christmas or your birthday. You get bought a half size up or
Actually,
a full size
well
up. Yeah, so you wear 2 pairs of socks
Yeah.
and it would never fit right. But I remember then when these got so out of shape that no matter how tight I pulled them with the eye hole gone, there just wasn't support there.
Right.
So I seen someone else. I can't remember who I seen doing it, and I said I'll give that a go. The tongue wasn't coming down to my liking now. So I found that just get me an extra couple of wears out of them. So it was with that then as well. That's where Predator died up until 2017. 2018, sorry. 18 wasn't it?
They released it in late 17, but it was for the 18 plus.
And we don't have a pair though. You have a pair which
I have a pair at home. I'm just not a fan of them.
Neither am I.
Just not a fan. When they came out, I said, look, curiosity, I bought a pair just to try them on, and I actually took them off at half time.
Yeah.
And I trained them. I took them off at half time in the match and just bought a different pair. I mean, so when the remakes came out, the Champagne Mania came out in May 2017. I saw them. I didn't like the look of them.
Yeah.
They actually look like a manic. You remember the manic back? No, I'm not saying they were. I just didn't like the look of them, so I said no. But then when the Blue Precision came out, I was sold. Yeah, so I got a pair of them on Pro Direct, and then 2 weeks later, they popped up again. So I got another pair, and that's what brought me into buy one, wear one.
Yeah, so I have one for every occasion.
And then actually, you're going back to the sock. Sorry, you're talking about off camera. So I got the white accelerator, the DB white accelerator, and I wasn't a huge fan. Now I wore them. I was looking to get 2 pairs. I got a pair off an American site, soccer.com, and I wore the other pair to the bits, the stripes coming off, everything else. But I just didn't feel protection there. It just felt like there's lace. It just didn't feel like it felt like a boot just for a collection, not to wear. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, and
it was more based on the Ace, though, wasn't it? That kind of boot was based off the Ace.
Yeah, and
the Ace was from 16.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the Ace either. I never had a pair. I went to the X, which would have been the old F50s, and as I was saying to you, I went through retro boots for a while. I was getting old Puma ones, old Nike ones, old Adidas ones, and with Manias and like that, we're saying the chance you take, they don't last long because they're such old boots. I took a chance. I got the the X 18 and 19, which are quite popular with the white and pink one.
That's the Freak, isn't it?
This is the Predator Freak, which came out it was 2021. These came out. The Mutator came out in 2020 after the kind of
it was an 18 plus and then a 19 plus,
which was the exact same.
Yeah,
it was kind of, it didn't have any
a cosmetic change. I think
it didn't have any of these elements to it. It was kind of like a little bit like a groove like that, but not as
correct. It's like a little groove, into
tiny bit of a groove. Whereas these had the elements or the.
I did like
dragon
that.
skin.
I was tempted to get them, but I didn't. I did like the way it felt like the elements were actually back. Yeah, if that made sense.
That's when I kind of got brought back into the Predators and had the split sole plate, which would remind me of the OG Pulses and Manias as well. And there was a Japan Blue
and
Mania,
the stripes going around,
and the stripes coming down here. So like I had everything I was looking for, only that the sock. And like that, I wasn't a fan of the sock until I put it on. And I felt, I suppose I'm older, I got boots that were my size, my foot was stopped growing. I was pushing on, nearly 30 at this stage. I don't think my foot's going to grow anymore. I can buy my own boots. And I felt that there was a nice lockdown in it. Now, I like that. I don't like the sock boot. I always go for the low cut boot. I just don't like the look of it. I think it looks gammy, and I just, if I'm thinking that's how it looks, I'm not going to enjoy wearing it. Whereas I found this, it actually felt really nice, and I chopped and changed between this and the X19 for a while, and then I went on to the X Speedflow until the new Predators came out. But I thought this is kind of when Predator were coming back to. They obviously knew what they were doing. They were kind of. I'm sure the guys at Predators knew that.
No, I agree. Them elements just. Yeah, there was definitely a sense of coming back. Now, I was happy enough still wearing remakes at the time. Yeah. So I didn't bite.
Yeah.
No, but when I saw them elements on it, I thought, it felt a bit more back compared to the 18 plus, the 19 plus, and the Mutator. Yeah.
And after this, we had the Japan Blue Mania, or remake at the same time. The original SG version of the black and red Manias came out.
Yeah.
We had the Accelerator, the white and pink ones come out. We had the Pulses coming out, all in and around this Absolute. They were dropping remakes. And eventually we'll jump on to the cream of the crop at the end of the table here.
Well, before that, I think there was the Edge.
That's right.
And I didn't get and the accuracy. The accuracy was...
They would have been the ones before this.
It was just when the tongue dropped. I was like, right, I think it's time to get back on the proper Predator train, because I was all doing remakes the last 7 years.
Just on that, do you think Adidas did that intentionally, not releasing a bad boot per se, but having the hype around this, having all the remakes, then dropping an edge, dropper, and accuracy, was that to kind of not blow the load too soon to keep the 30-year anniversary of the full tongue version to make it such a hype? Because like, oh, it's so much better than what we just had.
Has to be.
Yeah,
it has to be. Like 30 years, they're playing in the nostalgia card, and I admit, like I fell for hook, line, and sinker.
No more than myself.
Yeah, like it's the tongue for me. And when it came out, and again, usually I'd hear a little bit about leaks.
Yeah.
Didn't know much about them.
Yeah.
Didn't know much about the burgundy tongue or anything like that. Just didn't know much. And then I hopped out, it was like, someone sent like a picture going, that can't be real.
Yeah.
In the box. And then there was a gold display. You can show it in a different, but it was a gold display of each model. I'm kind of going, have to have them.
Yeah.
But little did I know, there are 13 colorways now.
Yeah.
But I like, okay, so this is limited edition. There's only 1,994 pairs because it's a callback to when the Predator started in 94. Mm-hmm. But then they released a teaser pair. It was all orange. Mm-hmm. Well,
it's like this color. Orange.
Yeah, I say orange, and they're saying it's red. It's a big debate on Instagram. But they also released one without a tongue. But I'm just for tongues for me. Mm-hmm. I think they released a green pair with no tongue, and I was happy not to get them.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't really a great colorway either. But look, everyone has their preference. Mm. But I wouldn't be one to get one without a tongue. But there's so many pairs of tongues still.
Yeah, and still to come.
And I'm still on this.
So what makes the Predator Precision your favorite Pred?
Well, for me, it was the first one. And I think a lot of people that buy Preds, I think they might find if it's their first one, their favorite one, sometimes it's very hard to top that. And as I said, when I got this, tried it on, I felt elite. And as soon as the first session was finished, straight away scrubbing, washing, cleaning, and even polishing. And it was definitely, I think the fact that the Velcro on the tongue as well kept it down. It was just, even the design of the stripes going all the way back. It was released in 2000, and it was actually, it feels like it was a good call for the Millennium. It was a nice little futuristic sort of stripes compared to the Accelerator. I know the Accelerator is still iconic. Yeah, it's big across the boot, but the whole thing was just, it was just great for me.
And I think with the Millennium, I think this boot kind of just personifies the year 2000. I think this is probably my favorite colorway.
When you say 2000 myself. As well, on it, they had Adidas 2000 as a call as well. Yeah, that was.
As well, we're looking at this white pair here. We see you have the tongue down as far as possible. Did you ever think of getting the strap attached at any stage?
No. So when these came out in 2001, Beckham was wearing them. Of course, I had to wear them, and I had the confidence to wear my first white boot. And then I copied them, putting the tongue down. So what I did was I had elastic, just putting down the tongue, just this elastic band. That was it. But I see people getting the tongues done, which is very good. But back then, I was 17. I was just happy I would keep copying the tongue like everyone else. But this pair for me is pretty special because I actually wore these in the 2001-2002 season. Wow. And it was a very successful season for me personally. Trophies for the team, and I also got a Player of the Year award. So as accumulation, I felt right. I had to just keep them aside. The Mania was being released that summer. Yeah. So I said, right, it's perfect. So I'll keep them in the actual original boot bag it came in. And these are actually the first pair I started collecting.
So that's the first ones in your collection. To the right of them, we have the remake, which are nearly 1-to-1 of those your first boots in your collection. What were they like compared to the original ones when you were 17?
Now, don't let it fool you. I have another pair of these well worn, so I have worn these. But when I put them on, I was like stepping back in time. They got spot on, just much lighter. That's all. Everything else was just spot on with this boot. At the time, I thought it was the best remake going. Possibly maybe because I'm a bit biased towards the precision, but no, they definitely got this spot on.
I think you mentioned as well that they had like the red studs on it. So if we see on the bottom of these ones here, it has the white sole plate with the red studs.
That was the call back to the Fairground sole plate, yeah.
Which I think that was the first boot that had them, and the Manias had them as well. That is one of the things of the precision. And
Manias, iconic.
Yeah. I suppose someone is probably going to ask it. If this building went on fire now, and you were only able to bring one pair of these boots out of the building with you, what ones would you be going for?
It's got to be these. It's as I guess why, as we discussed earlier, why we wear boots. It's just about the memories and everything else and what they mean to us. But it's got to be these.
100%. So we have some of the remakes Adidas have done in the last couple of years, starting off with 2014 Manias up until some of the most recent remakes from last year and 2022. What do you think Adidas have got right with the remakes, and what improvements would you have made on some of these ones?
I think looking at the 2014 remake, it was great to have the Mania come back, but just the colour just that bit off, and it just didn't seem to have that Predator red.
Yeah.
Now the Instinct, obviously at the time that was a sole plate. It was very good, but if you fast forward to 2022, and they got it spot on. I mean, it is an OG pair, and it's almost identical. Absolutely smashing. I say it again, that has to be the best remake out of what they've done so far. Now the Accelerator in 2023, this was a collaboration with Pro Direct Soccer, because Pro Direct was kicked off in 1998. So this is a 25-year anniversary. So to have that tongue down, and the actual shape of the tongue was exactly what the Accelerator was back in 98. Of course, in 98, the tongue strap wasn't there, but the added tongue, it was just superb. Again, just going back, if there was any complaint, they didn't number them. Only 998 pairs. They should have numbered them. But other than that, the Accelerator, again, I've a pair of these worn. These are the first Accelerator I've ever worn, because I never wore the OG.
Yeah.
And they were a smashing boot playing as well. That sole plate was very good. And the fact that there's no tongue strap is just almost like the original pair. This thing might have been released in 1999, but that was a great boot to wear. And can't really fault any of them, just down to really the colour of that tongue. But I really think, especially these pairs here, they definitely got the remake spot on.
And just the ones that are missing from here is there's a Pulse remake, an Absolute remake. If you wanted to see another remake this year, I know there's talks of another Mania remake, would you like to see a remake of a boot they've already done, or would you like to see a remake of a boot they haven't done yet?
Well, for me, I'd like to see a Precision. I'd like to see Precision OG, but I think it is time for Power Swerve.
You heard it here. So the Predator Mania is probably considered the GOAT of Predators. And I know you said your favourite is the Precision, but what about the Manias do you think it makes it so widely sought after and widely so commonly put at the top of the best boot list?
For me, right, so the Accelerator put it on the global stage, the World Cup in 98. The Precision brought us into the millennium. But this just cemented it into boot history. They just got everything right. The whole design of it, the stripes going around the boot, the elements perfectly where it is. The tongue strap as well, the first time. I mean, yeah, it's very hard to disagree that it's the greatest Pred going.
And with so many colourways of it, we only have two of them here at the moment. There was obviously the OG, as this one's called, black and red and white. You had the champagne, the gunmetal, the red, the lunar. And I suppose the sought after and not widely released, the Japan blue ones that are there, which are a remake in front of you, which are fake. We'll point that out now. We know they're fake. Do you think that they got the amount of colour right? They didn't have 13 or 14 releases. Do you think if they oversaturated in 2002 would have been too much?
Yeah. I think that could be another reason why it's still sought after. There's not many colorways. I think the following was the Pulse, and there's so many colorways. I think they just did it right. Even if you go back to Precision at 4 or 5, before that, the Accelerator only had the OG, the white, the red, and the electricity. So that was 4. I thought, yeah, that could be another reason why it's up there with everyone wants a Mania. That could be another reason.
And finally, just quickly on this one, you think of Predator Mania. Not only will Beckham's obviously the player, I think everyone thinks of the Mania. What moment do you think in sport, let's say call it sporting history, comes to your mind when you think of the Predator Mania?
It's got to be Zidane's volley in the Champions League final, 2002. It's got to be. I mean, okay, when Beckham wore the champagne ones for the penalty against Argentina in 2002 as well, but it's Zidane's volley that won the Champions League. And
I think just to cover other sports here, I can't actually pinpoint one GAA moment I can think of that cements Predator Mania happened then. Colin Corkery had that summer of manias as opposed to one moment, but I think unfortunately we have to give props to England and Johnny Wilkinson hitting that drop kick against Australia in 2003 with the manias off his right foot. When I think of that moment, anytime I think of England winning the World Cup, all the times we're told about it, I think of the Predator Mania there. So I think it is cemented in history with a few different people.
And he had the elements on the tongue, I think, as well.
He did indeed. Yeah. So with the upcoming Euros, it's 20 years since Euro 2004, where Predator Pulse were on full display. We have a lovely throwback to that with the new Predators. What do you think of these compared to the Pulses?
So when this Pulse came out, this colourway, I wasn't really a fan because I like a white boot. But when this came out, again, I was like, they could have made a different colour. However, the leather on this is so soft, and they really topped it off. If they made more Predator Elites like this, it'd be amazing. It's the only Predator Elite model with this leather, and I've tried, I think I've worn about 6 pairs now of the different colourways, and it's class. It's brilliant. You should do more Preds of this type of leather. It's brilliant.
I have the black, or the Solar ones, the OG ones, the black with kind of red, orangey,
Yeah.
questionable, and just even feeling the difference of the leather compared to that synthetic feel. It is, I wouldn't say night and day. Like I'm not going to be harping on saying, oh, it's the best boot ever, but you can feel the differences in it. And if you're someone who is fond of a leather boot and doesn't like that plastic feel, there is a noticeable difference in this compared to, if anyone has felt the new Predators, this kind of has that, leather feel like a boot from 20 years ago. But if you had to pick one of these boots to play a match this evening, we're going out playing 5-a-side, 7-a-side, 11-a-side, wherever it is, you can only pick one of these pair of boots, what one would you pick?
These all day. These all day, for sure. Yeah, it's with the leather and the fact it's lighter, these all day.
I think I'd have to flip a coin because I haven't worn them since I've been 10 years old, so I think I'd have to go throwback, but I think I'd be happy wearing either pairs of those.
So massive thanks to Trev for bringing some of his collection to show me and go through his history of football boots himself, the ones where he started collecting back in 2000 to the most recent remakes. Some of them weren't on show, but I couldn't expect him to be bringing 80 pairs of boots in to show me. And I kind of had a couple myself that he didn't have, the Addy Powers, the 2014 remakes. So it was one or two that I was kind of happy that I had, and someone like a collector like that didn't have them. But if anyone is interested in football boots, hopefully you took something away from that, or have some sort of nostalgia looking back at some of those real retro football boots and some of the more modern ones as well, and just kind of maybe appreciate the remakes and limited edition ones a little bit more. I have been a little bit unfortunate not been able to get my hands on some of them, and some of them I just can't justify buying them, and the price of them, I'd be afraid to wear them during a match. I know myself and Trev are on the same mindset that you wear your boots if you can, but some of them are so expensive you'd be afraid to wear them in a match in case someone came down and stood down them and ruined them or anything like that. The new Predators are, they are an extortionate price. They are quite expensive, €280 for the standard fold over tongue. But it's just the way that the prices are gone with boots. They are that price, people will pay for them. But look, what else can you do about it? Just to kind of finish off a final one there, so we're just not finishing on a random clip. Just thanks a million again to Trevor for showing me all his collection, or all the boots he brought down of his massive collection, and going through his insights onto what makes Predators so appealing and to him, and why he started his collection and why he does what he does. So hopefully it'll be the start of maybe a boot journey, maybe meet other people. It's always been a passion of mine, whether I want to call it that or not. I've always was interested in football boots. I was lucky enough this year to go over to London with Sports Direct for the launch of the Adidas Predators. So that was just kind of a dream come true for me. So I'm really interested in football boots. Always have been and always probably will be. So it's great to kind of meet with like-minded people and discuss stuff and my own story of football boots and going through why I got certain pairs. I didn't always stick to Predators. I would have chopped and changed between Nike, even Puma for a while. So I was kind of giving my insight of what I thought was good, what I thought I was bad, or what I thought was bad, and always kind of we're coming back to Adidas in the end. But anyone who is interested in Trevor's collection, I'll link his page in the description as well. And thanks a million for showing me your collection.